Hi, it is Zena Krogodal, your American Dream Makers host. I am so glad you are joining us today. I have a wonderful woman on our show today. Her name is Michelle Crumley. She is an amazing woman, a mover and a shaker, and she gives her heart to the veteran community. And I can't wait to bring her on. So we will get started now. If you are watching live, please be sure to share this out. Michelle has a wonderful message to share with all of us, and I want to make sure that she gets heard. So, yes, if you're joining, please go ahead and share this, and also feel free to comment in the comments and ask any questions that you have. Don't be shy, and give StreamYard permission so we can see who you are, or at least type your name in if you're typing in, because sometimes it'll pop up Facebook user. But anyways, we are excited to get started, so we're going to get started. So here we go. Hello, hello, hello. It is Zena Krogodal, your American Dream Makers host. I believe the American dream belongs to all of us, and not only can we achieve it, but we can go beyond. And I have a very amazing woman who absolutely helps to make the American dream come true for so many people. She is absolutely a phenomenal person. I am going to bring her on. Her name is Michelle Crumley, and here she is. Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I am great. Hello, everybody.
So good to see you. And I just love your energy, Michelle. You are full of wonderful energy, and on camera, off camera, in person. I have never seen you without a smile. And so you are just wonderful to be around. And I'm so glad. I know we have known each other through VA Rep, which is the Veteran Association of Real Estate Professionals. You are a loan officer with Caliber Home Loans. Is that correct?
I am with Caliber and I work with a lot of loan officers, but I am actually the Caliber's military client and community liaison. So I do education, everything VA and military education, internally and externally.
Awesome. Awesome. So, and you have been doing this for quite some time. So we want to know all about Michelle Crumley, who you are and how you got to doing what you're doing. So tell us about yourself. Tell us where you're from and your background. And yeah, let's just dive into who Michelle Crumley is.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. So I am currently in Virginia Beach. We'll just start there. I am a 30 plus now military, now veteran spouse. So I met my husband 35, 36 years ago, long before the military ever knew him. He's now a retired Navy SEAL. He retired about 12 years ago. But during our time in the military, and in fact, both of us, for the most part, growing up in the military, we spent 4.5 years on Kodiak Island, Alaska. And while we were on the island, we bought our second home and we used our VA loan for the second time. And I think that I'm a fairly intelligent individual, but I was sitting at the closing table and still didn't really have any understanding of how I got there, why I was using the VA loan, why it was so much better than other loans, why I had to refinance the house that we had in Virginia to be able to purchase in Alaska. Found out we really didn't have to. All kinds of little things. And I was like, if I'm having trouble understanding this, then I think that a lot of the individuals in the military space, in the veteran space, probably have the same questions that I do. So what do? I get involved in the financing world. I become, in essence, a loan officer while we were in Kodiak Island, Alaska. I figured that's the best way to learn a little bit more about this crazy financing world. And that was over 20 years ago. And I have held roles from originator to branch manager to coach to trainer, and then was tapped and able to join Caliber as the currently is the military client and community liaison, which is a very long name, in essence, to say that I'm the director of VA education and policy at Caliber. So that is kind of how I got here, is being able to marry both my time and experiences as a military spouse, along with a career, which was a lot more by accident than by design, to really be able to do what I'm passionate about, and that's educate our military families and communities, along with our industry, about what it's like as a military family and about financing.
Wow, that is quite an inspiration that you did. So you felt frustrated, that is what I was hearing, what the first time you were going through it, and being a military spouse using the VA loan, not feeling like you were being walked or advocated for, or not understanding. So your inspiration was to be a problem solver. That's awesome. And I love that you didn't just sit and just complain and say, oh, but you're like, okay, how do I change this?
How do I learn?
So cool.
I help others. Absolutely. And it has been quite an adventure.
Yeah, I bet. Now, being a military spouse, how often did you move around? Did you move around quite a bit?
Yeah. So we did 3 PCSs. So that's for those that are on here that aren't military centric. That's when the military says it's time to move, and they come and they pack you up and they move you to wherever they've deemed you need to go. So we've done 3 of those, but for the most part, we really stayed in and all around Virginia Beach. So that's where I am currently, and have been outside of our move to Alaska and back. And then we were in North Carolina for a very short a period of time. But for the most part, it has been here. And it was never intended that Virginia Beach would be anything more than where he retired from, and then we'd move. But that, again, was 12 years ago. And as military families experience, when you transition out, we were used to the military of telling us where we're going, when we're going, how we were going to get there, how long we were staying. And as he got out, and it was like, okay, where do you want to go? And we haven't been able to answer that question. Where do we want to be, right? So we are still here in Virginia Beach.
Well, I was just in Virginia Beach I guess, last month. And I have to say, that's not a bad place to be stuck in.
It is not. It is not a bad place to hang your hat, whether it's long-term or short-term or something in between.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've been stationed in some pretty wonderful places. I mean, Alaska probably was a great adventure. Did you enjoy that?
Zena, I went skeptical because, I was born and raised in North Georgia, spent 12 to 15 years here in Virginia Beach before we moved to Alaska. And it's like, that was a whole different world. And a little skeptical. What's it going to be like? I will tell you, it was the best 4.5 years of our military career. It was the best 4.5 years ever in a location. I loved every minute of it. And it was so hard to say, okay, we have to leave now. The military has told us it's time to go. It is a unique opportunity, and I highly recommend, if anyone ever gets the opportunity, at least to visit. But if you get the opportunity to go and be there for any length of time, grab hold of that opportunity and go. It's a chance of a lifetime.
Oh, that's great advice. So you loved everything about it. So in Alaska, I have not been to Alaska yet, but that is on my list, my bucket list for sure. Summer times, it's like daytime all the time, 24/7. Is that correct? And in the wintertime, it's dark 24/7?
So it depends on where you are in the state, right? Because it's a huge state, and there's the Arctic Circle, and anything above or below above the Arctic Circle will get 24 hours of daylight or 24 hours of darkness, depending on what time of year it is. But the farther south you are, you will have a lot of light or a lot of darkness, but it's not 24/7. We were on Kodiak Island, and in Kodiak, on the longest day of the year, so what, June 21st, the summer solstice, the sun would rise. It'd start getting light, right? It would start getting light at about 4 a.m. And the sun would set at probably about 10 p.m., but it never got far below the horizon. So it never got dark. It was always that really deep blue. So it was never pitch black. I loved it. Loved the summer. I mean, you could start playing 18 holes of golf at 9 p.m. if you wanted and still be able to get through. Crazy, right? On the flip side, January, February is not the time that you want to be there if you need daylight. The shortest day of the year, at least in Kodiak, again, we were far enough south that the sun would rise probably around 8:30. It would stay low on the horizon. So you figure if it's low on the horizon, it feels dusky kind of all day because you've got snow or wind or rain, and then it sets like at 4 in the afternoon. So it is a very dark time frame. That's when we would all get on the plane and go to Hawaii for vacation.
Well, how far is Hawaii from Kodiak?
You can get from the mainland, from Anchorage, you can get to Hawaii faster than you can get anywhere else in the U.S. So we would hop a plane direct to Maui or to Honolulu and get the heck off the island.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. So going from one Kodiak or one island to another, island hopping, I guess.
Exactly.
So your husband served in the military for how long then? He did a whole career for how many years?
21 years.
21 years. Wow.
21 years.
Thank you so much.
He made a decision. He was 26, I think, when he joined. And he joined to become a SEAL. That's all he wanted. He had decided he was going to be a Navy SEAL, went into the recruiter's office, says, I know I've got my college degree. I know I can do all these other things. I need to know the fastest way to get from here to there, to BUDS. So he became a medic. That was his MOS, and went pretty much straight from basic and MOS school to BUDS, and did his entire career as a SEAL, finished at 21 years and said, okay, checked that box, I'm done, and retired 12 years ago.
Wow. Well, I definitely thank you so much for his service and your service to our country. So we do talk about the SEALs, and most of us have somewhat of an understanding of, that a Navy SEAL, there's a lot of intense trainings. There's a lot of intensity in the field and off the field and all around the missions, in between missions, and that sort of thing. I would love to hear what it was like for you to be the spouse of a Navy SEAL and how it affected you. Because when you're serving, it's hard on the person serving, but it's really hard, and there's a lot of sacrifice that the family goes through. So I'd love to hear more about that, Michelle. So tell us how that was for you.
So that is an interesting question, and it is, I would say, not unique answer for those that do it successfully. And when I say that, you just think, right, the military has a reputation of being fairly hard on marriages. Some of the decisions that my husband and I made were, one, for a variety of reasons. One, I'm a cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor. My first go around was at age 25. My second go around, I just finished in March this year. But early on, we made a decision that we were okay not being parents. So I had no desire to really be a single married mother at home with children with my husband gone all the time. And I didn't have that overarching desire, and physically, health wise, it wasn't necessarily in my best interest to have those changes, hormonal changes as a woman of being pregnant. So we made that decision together, and I think that allowed me then also to have a career, right? So we made a conscientious decision that we would be together and stand together, but not rely on each other, be independent, choosing to stand together. I think that was huge. I had my career. He had his career. When he was home, it was a lot of fun and intense, and then he'd be gone, and I'd get back on with my life, and he'd go on about his. And that for us worked. And then it also, for me, not to get caught up in what his job was. When he left, he was like a lot of husbands that are out there that traveled with his job. Because I knew that if I started worrying about where he was going or what he was doing, I would never stop worrying. So it was always have fun, good luck, I'll see you when you get home, call when you can. And then I would conscientiously choose, I'm not going to watch a lot on the news. I'm not going to get involved in a lot of conversations. There were a lot of books or movies that I would choose not to see or read because it would make the situation that my husband was doing much more real. So for me, some people said I would stick my head in the sand and act like an ostrich. I would say I knew what he was doing. I just didn't need to live it every minute of every day worried. So it was how I chose to cope, focus on my life. When he was home, that was wonderful, but I didn't need my identity to be tied to his job, to what he did, and I didn't need to worry every day about what he was doing or where he was going. So those were conscious decisions I made.
That's great, because obviously it has worked out for you because you've been married for quite some time.
A long time.
How many years have you been married now?
It'll be 31 this December.
Wow, 31 years. That's fantastic. Congratulations. And wow, and congratulations on defeating cancer twice too.
Thank you.
Obviously are very much a go-getter and a fighter, and and I love hearing that you were able to be individuals but united at the same time. And I think a lot of married couples, whether they're in the military or not in the military, have a hard time finding that balance or finding what that really means. Because I think sometimes, we feel like we have to lose ourselves to gain unity in a marriage, but that is absolutely not true. We can absolutely live, as each person, but still be unified in who we are as a couple. So thank you so much for sharing that, because I think a lot of people, don't understand that and have a hard time. And that's probably is why so many military couples have a hard time making it, is what it seems like.
I would say that there is a lot of truth to that. It's not the sole reason. And there are individuals that will do it very differently than I did and still be successful at that. I always laughed and am very sincere when I said I had no problem playing second best to his job, as long as I know that I truly was number one. And if I truly needed something, if I was going to play that card, I knew he would be there. So I didn't need to play it. I could be second to the job. I could know that he could have to get up at any point and walk out, that vacations might get canceled or plans would change because he had to leave or he didn't come home as planned or as anticipated, which happens all the time, especially with military flights and planes and life. But to be able to say as long as I knew I was number one, I could play number two 98% of the time.
I'm so glad you're giving this insight. This is fantastic. So would you say that you were able to be okay with being number two as long as you were number one when it was time to be number one. Would you say that you also knew that what he was doing, the job that he picked, he was really affecting and changing a lot of lives, not just individual, but even throughout the world, that you saw that his purpose was greater than your marriage in the moment that he was working, and that was why
Yes.
you were okay with that? Is that what was going on?
That has a lot to do with it, 100%, right? His team, the guys that had his back, he needed to have theirs. The roles that they were doing overseas or when he was deployed, or the trainings that they were doing so that he could be safe and be able to do his job when he was out and deployed. All of those were extremely important, and I didn't want to interfere or have him worried about me at home when he needed to be focused on what he was doing there. So it was, again, that ability to say, you go do what you need to within the confines of what we have promised to each other, right? Let's make sure we put that
Right.
out there. We're not completely living separate lives, but you go need to do what you need to from a work perspective, be present, live that life. When you come home, that life stays outside the door. We have our life. And then when you need to go back into that role, that's what you do. You go and you give it 110%. I will only pull you in if it's absolutely vitally important or necessary on my end to be number one. I don't need you to show that to me every day of every minute of every hour of every week. I need to know that if I play that card, you'll be there. And on the rare occasion that we needed to play that card, either one of us, we were there.
That's very beautiful. So I imagine that from the other end, for him and how has supported you over the years, did he also feel the same way with you in your job, that what you were doing was very important to making a difference in other people's lives? And so he gave you the room and the support that you needed to do your job when you needed to, knowing that sometimes he would have to take second seat for a moment.
Absolutely. So when he would be home, my life that I had created didn't stop. My career didn't stop. I didn't come home and have 3 weeks or a week or off like he would have. So it would be his understanding that this is what I've created, what I need to do, and allowing me and supporting me in that endeavor, whether that was being okay if I had to go to a networking event or I was hopping on a plane to leave to go do a training or a seminar, that he may tag along if he could, but he also knew that there were times that it wouldn't be appropriate, and absolutely gave me the time and flexibility that I needed to continue operating at my level when he was in town versus when he was out.
That's absolutely beautiful. What a wonderful synergistic and symbiotic relationship you had, that you were able to really truly encourage and support each other, that it wasn't a one-way street, but rather it was both of you loving each other enough to let each of you soar, and obviously having even the self-confidence and not being threatened by one soaring. Because sometimes I think, sometimes our uh, low confidence, low self-esteem sometimes makes it difficult to allow our spouses to really soar and be who they need to be and live their divine purpose. Because I do believe that we are called to do certain things in this world to make a difference, in other people's lives. And so, thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing that aspect. I have another question regarding this. So, as your husband came home from the missions, I would imagine that, there were moments that may have been, maybe some missions took longer to decompress from than others. And as a spouse of a Navy SEAL, coming home, and how were you able to, I guess, really be that giving him the space to heal from the missions, to really decompress, and to what does that look like? And what did that look like for you?
That is a great question. And, I don't know that I've actually been asked that one, at least that way. As I think through that, one, you would need to know Mike a little bit. He's an extremely laid back individual. It's hard to get his feathers ruffled. And he is a thinker more than he is a speaker, right? So he'll do something, but he's not going to necessarily tell you that he's doing it. So I would say that when he would come home, there's always that first 24 hours or maybe 48, 72 hours of just woohoo, it's like a honeymoon. And then reality sets in, right? You still have to get up, still have to eat breakfast, still have to do something work-wise. And it would be recognizing that even if he wouldn't say that there was a problem or a concern or stress, he would get quieter. And for a quiet man to get quieter, you don't necessarily recognize that all the time. But it would be recognizing that if he snapped a little bit, right? So if not that he doesn't do this all the time anymore, as he's gotten older and grumpier, but if you're doing a house project and his patience level was really thin, or he would take over, we'd be cooking and he'd be like, "You're doing it wrong," is recognizing he's not upset or mad at me. His temper is a little short. He's decompressing, and to be able to either laugh it off or be able to walk away at the moment and then come back and be able to say, "Hey, I don't think you intended to hurt my feelings. However, did you mean this the way that I took it, or did you mean it in a different way?" And I think that goes to then the answer is we were able to communicate about it. Give him the space, not rise to the bait if he was being a little snippy, and vice versa. Him recognizing as being snippy, or if I snapped back, laughing a little, or again, walking away, giving each other, whether it was a few minutes, a few hours, and then be able to come back and say, "Okay, how do we need to address this?" So conversing often and a lot, I would say, is probably the thing that worked the best.
That's great. Communication is the key, is what you are saying, and giving your spouse the benefit of the doubt that they did not have ill intentions towards you and not taking it personally. Love that. We can all apply that to our marriages.
Which worked extremely well when he was active duty. And I would tell you today, again, works extremely well. What did not work well on my end was adhering to what I had done so well while he was active duty during what is called the infamous transition time frame when he exited the military. And all of a sudden, I have this man that is home all the time, every day of every week, potentially of every month, of every year, for the foreseeable future. And I didn't know how to mesh the two lives. How do I be a wife on a daily basis with work? How do I be this individual, this career-oriented individual? How do I bring those two together? And I believed wholeheartedly, Zena, I believed everything that I said when he was active, which was, "Hey, when you get out, you're going to have plenty of time to figure out what you want to do. We probably won't be in a position that you can completely retire, but you can take a couple of years, figure out what it is that you want to do when you grow up. I don't have anything tied to you being in the military. It's not going to be a big deal." Oh my gosh, was I naive. It is the biggest challenge that we had in our marriage. To this point, with 30 some odd years now together, the hardest year and a half that we ever had was this first year and a half is when he got out.
I appreciate that vulnerability that you just shared, because I think that is a hard time for many couples, for sure, is retirement. They say that's a moment where many couples end up getting divorced because they don't know how to make it through that identity change. And
And
like
it
you
is.
said, you went from not having him around all the time to having him around every day in your space.
I had
That
somebody
is an
tell
adjustment.
me at that point we'd been married for 21 years. I had someone tell me, "Oh, honey, it's like you're newlyweds. It's your first year of marriage. You're having to go through what everybody normally goes through when they get married, and that's intertwining two lives on a daily basis." I said, "Well, this sucks. I don't know why anyone would want to do that."
It was
It
just
was a
delayed for you. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I would imagine so. But here you are, 31 years.
yes.
You two have navigated through it, and I appreciate you sharing that, because I think, some people would be very inspired to hear, how you have gotten through that. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And so, being a military spouse, and like I had mentioned earlier, you and I had met through VA Rep, which is the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. Tell us how you got involved with VA Rep and how long you've been a part of VA Rep.
Absolutely. So I am so honored to be involved both at a local chapter level as well as at the national level with the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. So it is an organization that I learned about when I joined Caliber, and because I live here in Virginia, I was really trying to figure out and navigate the military space in how do I create new relationships in the veteran space and the military space that's bigger than the world that I used to live in. And they had just started a chapter of the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals. I was one of I would say within the first year, I joined as a member and started going to a couple of the different educational events. And it was all about educating loan officers and real estate professionals about the VA loan and what it was like as a military family looking for financing, and how as a industry that we could better support, or the industry, the VA rep could better support our service members by helping our loan officers and real estate agents understand the VA loan, especially a lot better than they did, which felt like it fit with my passion on educating our military and families. And also then from a professional standpoint would give me the opportunity to meet others in the community that had the same passion that I did. So I became a member. And then, as happens in nonprofit organizations and foundations, they said, "Oh, look, you're excited and have a passion for this. Come be on the board." So I joined. So not only was I a member, but then I applied for and became the education director for the local chapter in Virginia Beach. And then again, because I have a passion for it and I get involved and I throw myself in wholeheartedly, and my company stood behind me in being involved with the organization. National said, "Hey, we could use you as well. Come be part of our National Education Committee." So I get to help create the foundation for our chapters on the education side, whether we're doing the military veteran housing certification classes, whether we're doing lunch and learns, those kind of things. I've been able to take my company, Caliber's commitment to our military, and they're willing to sponsor and stand behind us with time and money to allow me to be present both at a national level as well as a local level when it comes to supporting our veteran families. Very exciting.
Wow.
And then I get to travel, right? I get to travel and do a lot of education for VA rep across the country. I've gotten the opportunity to come out to the Prescott, Phoenix area for the last 2 years, and I'm going to be there again here in just like a month and a half, 2 months.
Yes, you are. And we are very excited. So you had mentioned earlier that you had three PCS orders yourself while in the active military. And so the class that you will be teaching through Caliber Home Loans as the sponsor, which we so appreciate Caliber Home Loans really supporting this PCS class, knowing your PCS class. You want to tell us, I mean, since you mentioned it, why don't you tell us a little bit about it? And I'm going to put the flyer up too for those that are in Arizona. And you're going to be teaching this throughout the nation. It's not, I mean, you're coming to Arizona here in September, but you're also going to other places as well.
I know. I'm headed to Wasilla, Alaska next week to teach the class.
Wow. That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. So tell us what it is and why, as real estate professionals, we really do want to take this class. Why is this going to be beneficial to us?
I love it. Wonderful, wonderful. So the class is for anybody that works with or has a desire to work with military families, military service members and or their families. And it is a 3-hour crash course on what it is like as a military family going through a PCS move, the change of orders, right? The change of station. And how then, as the real estate agents or the lenders, or actually anybody that is part of the PCS world, right? So it might be the insurance agent. It could be the title company, right? If you are working with service members and their families, you are likely going to be working with one of them as they are going through either leaving the area or moving to the area under orders. And it is an opportunity to dig into what it is like and how we in the industry can support that family as they're making that move. So it lets us, one, from a ability to build relationships, how to network, then also if you're doing this for the right reason, how to leverage those relationships into business, because business is important, right? And we want to talk about, if you're doing this for the right reasons, how these relationships with these military families, especially during this high emotional time when they're moving, how these relationships really can be nurtured, cherished, and grown into a flourishing business as well. So we spend 3 hours just talking a little bit about the history of the military so that you have a general idea of some of the lingo, the language, why it's important to understand the lingo and language if this is a subset that you work with. Because we know, right, especially with VA rep, if you have a client or a customer that comes in and says, hey, just want to let you know I'm PCSing in 3 months and my husband's TDY OCONUS and will be reporting to his new command on this date. We're doing an HHG move and driving our POV down 2 weeks before he has to report. Okay, now, if you want to work with this group and you want them to believe that you understand what their life is like, understanding that conversation is the tip of the iceberg, right? So we talk about how do you relate? If you've got a military background, if you have an identity in some form or fashion that has been tied to the military, you might have just understood everything I just said. But if you don't, that doesn't mean that you can't be a phenomenal partner, a phenomenal agent or a lender to a family that is moving. But it means that you have to do a little bit more work in connecting with that family and showing them you get their lifestyle, you understand them, that they can trust you and know that you've got their best interests at heart. So we talk a little bit about that. Then we talk about what the move itself is like and all of the different components and feelings and time frames of that move. And then how in the industry we can positively impact each of those time frames and then also nurture those relationships so that they pay back in spades in that time that we are investing up front. So it is a lot of fun. I love the class because, I live the life. And I just love either reminding a lot of the individuals in our profession that have gone through a PCS. You can start seeing the ticks come back when they're like, oh my God, I forgot about all of that. Or those that have never been through one, for them to have that light bulb moment that's like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Or, oh, that's a great idea. Or I had no idea that that's what happened and how it occurred. So I think that there's a lot of information. I have yet to hear of anyone that didn't walk out with 3 to 5 really good ideas on things that they could do in their business to better support and grow their business through the relationships with the military.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. And you're right. It's so important to understand what all of that means, especially those in the industry that are not part of the military. And I know I've heard from other real estate agents and even lenders that they feel like, uh, the veterans, they already they use other veterans, so there's no point to me signing up for these classes or trying to service veterans because they're going to go use a veteran. But my experience is that if you take classes like this and you become aware and you get yourself educated, uh, you can be very much an advocate for veterans, whether you're a veteran or not. Do you find that to be true as well, Michelle?
Absolutely. So, as I tell everybody, and I do this when I'm even coaching loan officers as well as real estate agents, when I'm talking with them, it is I know, and we know as a community that the military feels much more comfortable out of the gate with someone that is military or previous military, because we know that they get us. We know if I talk about a deployment and you are a spouse or you've been deployed, I know that I got it. I understand. So there's that synergy that is already there. But that doesn't mean that you have to be, like I was saying, and as you were mentioning, Zena, that it doesn't mean that you have to have that connection, but it means that we do then have to work a little harder at creating that relationship. That's all. So it is, how are you putting yourself out there from a social media standpoint that captures the attention, that brings across why you would be passionate about them, that you would understand that their lifestyle, that you have helped a lot of individuals that have had that are military or prior military. And then it's also being present where they are. So you can't just say it, you can't just put it out there, but then it's getting involved in VA rep. It's getting involved in your local veteran or military organizations. It is holding an appreciation event for your clients and customers that our service or have served prior. It's really then again about creating that relationship, right? I don't have to have been in your shoes for me to create a relationship with you. And once I've created that relationship and we have found that, then you know that there's honesty and authenticity behind that. Then there's that comfort level of working together. And then when we work together, you have a great experience. And we know that as military families, we love to tell everybody about our experiences. And I will be the best referrer of someone that gets me and has treated me right. I will tell everybody about that. And then again, growing your business through the relationship that you and I connected over, not because you're just a military spouse or just because you've served. You're now firsthand working with the families and creating that personal one-on-one relationship.
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So I've got this flyer sitting up because, yes, September 20th is a date that Arizona, Michelle, will be here live, in person, which is so exciting. And let me tell you, Michelle is an absolutely great instructor, and you will come out of this class knowing what PCS is and knowing what all that means and how to advocate for the veterans during this process, because so many don't realize that a veteran can purchase a home while being active and sometimes being basically called to active duty. And yet, some people don't realize that they can still purchase a home even in that scenario. And as an agent, as a lender, I think it's very essential for us to really understand the process and to know what is allowed for the veteran and what isn't allowed for the veteran, to become that expert. So this class, you do not want to miss, you guys, whether you're in the military or you're not in the military. Lenders, real estate agents, and even anybody who is in the real estate industry, even title, escrow officers, all of the real estate industry professionals, sign up for this. We decided to partner up with the Phoenix chapter. So we've got 2 active chapters right now in Arizona, and that's Phoenix and Prescott. And we decided to come together as a team and host this event because it's so important. We are having it in Anthem, so it's a little bit in between Phoenix and Prescott, so that we can all come together. And I think it's a great opportunity to meet the members in Phoenix as well, and the members of Phoenix to meet the members of Prescott. So I think this is a great opportunity. So sign up and register. I also put it in the chat how you can sign up. But if you go to varep.net/PCS class AZ, which is on this flyer. And of course, if you email Michelle, and I'll get her email up here, or you contact myself, Zena Krogadal, or even Jennifer Gokul, who is a Phoenix president chapter, we will get you more information. But we'd love to see a full class. Michelle loves having a full class because it gets her really energized and excited. As you can tell, she has a real passion for educating all of us so that we can really help our veterans realize the American dream. As VA Rep says, one veteran at a time, right? So
Exactly.
And I am absolutely so excited for all of this. I'm going to leave this up for just a minute here, because that VA Rep absolutely does exactly what they set out to do. The mission is to increase sustainable home ownership among our veteran community through education, through economic opportunities. And I love that you, from the very get-go, as soon as you got involved in your local chapter, and we have chapters throughout the nation, and of course hoping to build even more so over the years. And you and I were just in Washington, D.C. at Capitol Hill. You want to talk about that a little bit too? I think that's pretty exciting as well.
Oh my gosh, you want to talk about 2 to 3 crazy days. So VA Rep at the moment has got 2 bills that are right now in committee up on the Hill, and VA Rep as an entire organization, we had about 80 of us, I think, about 80 of us across the nation that descended on the Capitol for 2 days, and we visited 356 of our congressmen and senators' offices, letting them know about the bill, about the 2 bills, one about VA Rep becoming a actual congressionally recognized veteran service organization, getting us in touch with more of our veteran community and our active duty community and being involved in a little bit higher level. Awesome. And then some on the compliance side on having to provide more information to our service members and veterans when they apply for a mortgage, in the lender having to provide information about the VA loan that a lot of lenders don't today. So those 2 phenomenal bills that we've got right now that are on the Hill, working hard to get them out of committee so that we can get them to the floor and get them passed. And we got to be there and see how the inner workings of the process take place. I mean, walking into senators' offices that I see them on, whether it's CNN or Fox all the time, or walking through the tunnels between the buildings, it's like, wow, this is real. Do they even know I'm here? I feel like such an imposter. running around. But it was such an incredible opportunity with an incredible group of individuals. So again, you get involved with VA Rep, you get to do all kinds of things. And depending on whether you are an educator or you love the whole government side of things, or you love the outreach component, there is a place for you at VA Rep, and the opportunities are endless.
Absolutely. And you do not have to be a veteran to be a
Do
member
not.
or get involved. And you just, if you have a passion to serve veterans, and let me tell you, like Michelle said, there's a group of amazing people who truly dedicate and serve and sacrifice. And Michelle, I can't thank you enough for all the sacrifice that you have made over the years. And something that I would love for you to touch on too. And before I ask you this question, I do want to mention Michelle is teaching this PCS class across the nation. So I put up the registration link for Arizona only because I'm in Arizona, but there are classes that are happening throughout. So please get a hold of Michelle. I put her email on scrolling on the bottom here. Get a hold of Michelle, and she can let you know where those classes are and when they are, so you can sign up as well, because I think it's a great opportunity that Caliber Home Loans is supporting, and I think you should absolutely take that opportunity. So what I wanted to get to, so many real estate professionals, sometimes they hesitate to get involved with VA Rep because, like you said, what happens is you start showing up and they see that you have interest, and then we're like, hey, do you want to be on the board? Hey, do you want to do more? And sometimes real estate professionals, and especially right now when the market is a little tricky, there's a lot of stress going on as real estate professionals, just put it that way, across the nation. And so sometimes people feel like, I can't put that much time in to serving because that's going to take away from my business. But when you were speaking a little earlier, you were saying, and I heard that your company saw how dedicated you were to this nonprofit and saw and gave you an opportunity because they saw your heart and your passion and really elevated your career. And so even though VA Rep is not a business lead generation, and we don't go into it to try to pass out our business cards, right? But tell us about, what is the benefit of dedicating so much time to serving our veterans with VA Rep, and does it really make our business suffer?
So I love that. And I think that there are a number of ways to be involved, right? And everybody is at a different place, and there'll be times that you may have more time than others. We know and appreciate all of the different phases that individuals in their business go through. So it might be that today you want to be involved, but you only have so much time. Well, just have that conversation with the chapter. It might be, hey, I want to come to the educational events. I can do that. I can get up and talk a little bit about VA Rep, and I can do this. That's okay. You don't have to come in and join the board. You don't have to come in. I mean, we might ask you to, and those okay. Maybe you have a desire to help with a fundraiser, to handle one event. Maybe you just have a desire to be present at the events that are taking place. All of that is okay. It is having that conversation. It's not overextending yourself. Come in, start little, attend an education class here or there, maybe jump on one committee that's doing an event. There's a place to be there. If you find that there is a lot of value personally, again, as Zena said, this is not an organization that you go, I am going to join VA Rep to build business. That is a byproduct that happens if you really get involved and build the relationships that are there. Then there is that opportunity. It happens organically. It isn't a networking group where you come in and you're going to get business out of the gate. So that, if that is your intent, this isn't that place. This is when your heart has a true desire to give, to educate our military and veteran communities and our industry. And so then it is saying, Zena, like you were talking about, it is saying what you have time for. setting boundaries, because I'll be the first to tell you, I can say yes to everything, and then I'm like, oh crap, how am I going to make that happen? Start off small, do what you can, find where your place is in our organization, in the VA rep organization. We'd love to have you, whether it's just as attendees, whether it is as a committee member or a committee chair, whether it is as a board member ultimately. Just kind of depends on what your passion is and what you find to be the best mix of business and purpose.
Awesome. Thank you for you explained that so well and articulated that so well. So thank you so much. Uh, and there's nothing like giving back, to those who have served us. I mean, because you and I are able to sit here and have this conversation today because people like your husband have risked their lives on over and over and over again, and their spouses and their family sacrificing over and over again because you did sacrifice. You were without your husband many a times, not knowing where he was and what he was doing, and you had great skills to be able to manage those those times that he was gone. But nonetheless, that's a sacrifice. You allowed our country to have your husband for a time being, and so there's many families out there and many veterans out there who completely sacrifice. And even whether you're in combat veteran or you were on secret mission or you do administrative work or whatever your duty is as a veteran, it is all sacrifice because you are giving your life. You're saying to Uncle Sam, my life belongs to you for this a certain amount of time. Tell me what I need to do and I will do it. And so for those who have served, I love being able to advocate for them and fight for them, going to Washington and fighting for them from the legislative and then on down to our community outreaches where we touch their lives personally and educating our real estate professionals so that they can go out and advocate for the veterans. It's such a beautiful thing. And to me, I could never repay what has already been given to me, but we're able to sit here and have this conversation because of that. And so this is the fight that we have. And you and I know it's a battle sometimes being out there fighting and advocating for our veterans. And what an honor and a privilege it is. And I appreciate you so much, Michelle, because you are absolutely a mover and a shaker. And I've never seen you without a smile. You always have such a positive attitude. And this is just a wonderful gift that you are giving to all of us. So God bless you, Michelle, and your husband and your service for sure. So I appreciate you taking the time out today of your really busy schedule, because like you said, you're traveling everywhere and educating, and that's so awesome. Do you have anything else that you would like to share with us? We've got a couple more minutes here, but I'd love to give you the opportunity. How can people how else can people get a hold of you, Michelle, if they would like to know more about what you do and how you do it, and maybe even point them to the right loan officers? Because I do believe that when you're in a transaction in real estate, the right people on the team, the real estate agent, the lenders, and your escrow title officers all have to really truly be in congruence with understanding that VA loan process. So tell us how we can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. So the email address, like you mentioned, is scrolling across the bottom, m.crumley@caliberhomeloans.com. That is my personal email address. That can come to me. You can also reach me at mmcrumley@gmail. Really hard one. MM for Mike and Michelle. mmcrumley at Caliber Home Loans. Oh, excuse me, at Gmail. mmcrumley@gmail or m.crumley@Caliber Home Loans. Reach out to me. I love these conversations. I love educating. I love being able to be that connector of people. So if I don't have the answer or I know who you need to talk to, I love making that introduction.
Awesome. You guys, when you watch this, if you're watching the live, watching this on the replay, please share this out. Get the message out. Michelle is an absolute wonderful person and give her. She loves talking to people. As you can tell, she's a people person. So we don't want her getting bored or feeling like she's not talking to enough people, right? So
I'd have to go talk to my husband then. Who wants to do that?
Yeah, help him out. Let her go get her words out ahead of time. So yeah, share this out. And if you have the opportunity to absolutely get involved, the VA Rep does offer many we have like the MVHC certification courses. That's a great one too. So just check us out, varep.net. Get a hold of Michelle Crumley at Caliber Home Loans. And thank you again.
Come to the national conference in Orlando in October.
Oh, yeah, that is going to be so much fun. Oh my gosh. For sure. These conferences are amazing, for sure. varep.net, you can get more information on that as well. And thank you again, Michelle. You're amazing. Thank you for the inspiration.
Honey, you help make it happen. I so appreciate that.
Thanks. Okay, well, we will chat soon. So I'm going to say goodbye for now. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you guys so much for being on here today. And we just so appreciate all that Michelle does. She is just a phenomenal person, and all the great things that she's doing. So absolutely be sure to share this out. Thank you for being on American Dream Makers. You can come like my page. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and gosh, just get a hold of me as well. And American Dream Makers, Michelle is out there making American dreams come true. And come back and join us live again. I've got, wonderful guests coming on, and let's learn about how they're making the American dream come true. And let's be inspired, be transformed, and just go out there and make such a big difference in this world. So have a wonderful day, everybody, and we will see you soon.